Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome to Season 3, Episode 2 of the Retro Wrestling Review Series. I'm Owen Finch here, and in this episode, I am going to be discussing the entire first round of the Cruiserweight Classics, which is episodes 1 through 4. I actually can't wait to watch it. I've been waiting to watch it for months, and now I can finally watch it, so that's good. Um, um, you know, it had been built up for months, and now they're gonna finally do this tournament. I can't really give you like backstories about anything at the moment, just because I don't know any at the moment. So you're gonna have to wait. But this is actually gonna be great. I can see some really good wrestling coming out of this, and some great commentary work by Daniel Bryan and Mauro Ranallo. So let's get right into it. Okay, so now on to Season 1, Episode 1 of the Cruiserweight Classics. We have Daniel Bryan and Mauro Ranallo on commentary, just like I said they were going to be on commentary for this show. And it shows a nice little video package showing all the cruiserweights in the world, and with Triple H's voice, like hyping them up, talking about how they were never meant to be stars, but they became stars, and it shows like all the past people that are cruiserweights having success, and then it shows and then what else happens? And then it shows them going through all the cruiserweights that they've gone through to get get to this tournament and to see who the best tournament's gonna be, and it's just really cool. And the setup for this arena looks awesome. It's like this purple. It's the purple setup, and with the purple Cruiserweight Classics, the Titantron's purple. Everything's just pretty much purple. I really don't mind it. I actually kind of like it. Um, and yeah, it's awesome. And they announced the matches that are going to be taking place for tonight. They have Corey Graves to do that. He kind of keeps track of the brackets. I don't know what you call that job. And the matches that are going to be going on are Grand Metalik versus Alejandro Ciaz, I think is how you say that. Ho Ho Lon versus Arya Daivari. Clement Patent versus Cedric Alexander, and Kota Ibushi versus Sean Maluda. And this is all going to be taking place in tonight, anyways. So I think that's awesome, and I really like the way they set up this whole night. Because a lot of people don't know who these superstars are. So like myself. So they have a little video package kind of introducing you to the superstar. And it kind of feels like it's the Olympics in a way. Where they show the video package, and I'll explain more, but this really, and they have like all the wrestlers in the world, so it feels like that this is the Olympics. It's what it feels like. So we had a video package for Grand Metalik. And we find out that he's from Mexico, and he says that he wears his mask because he has pride for the Mexican heritage, and he says that he wants to win the Cruiserweight Classics for Mexico, and he wants to win, he wants to win in honor for Mexico, and he said that it would be a dream come true if he wins. And we also meet Alejandro Ciaz. And Alejandro Ciaz actually had to drop, I believe they said 30 pounds to get to this tournament, which was really impressive. He actually ended up dropping 30 pounds. And we find out that he's from, I forget where I said it earlier in the video. Let me get the thing up, because I actually kind of forget where it says he's from. Just give me a second. He's from Chile, and so sorry, that was my bad. So he's from Chile, and we find out there isn't wrestling in Chile. Like there isn't wrestling training. He had to go to Japan, and he had to go all over the world to find wrestling. So that was definitely an interesting story. And he talks about how he's pretty much says the same thing that Grand Metalik says, that he wants to be the cruiserweight champion as well. About the same thing. They don't really speak English, but they have the words on the screen so you can read them. And I gotta say too, Daniel Bryan and Mauro Ranallo were great together on commentary. Mauro Ranallo is really good at calling the action, and Daniel Bryan he's a good play guy too, and he's good on commentary. Just because of the fact that Daniel Bryan has been in the wrestling ring before, and he kind of knows how to call the action. He knows and he can really go more in depth of why this move hurts. So I like him on commentary. So we get the first match in the Cruiserweight Classics in total. It's a CWC tournament first round match. It's Grand Metalik versus Alejandro Ciaz. And they have this thing when the referee says, they say this all night, gentlemen, you've been explained the rules in the back. Do you have any questions? And they have to shake hands before the match as like a sign of respect. A lot of the indie companies do that, and these two do shake hands. And then this match was awesome. Grand Metalik ends up hitting a drop kick on the while Alejandro Ciaz is on the floor. He ends up hitting like a 6 suicide dive on the floor, which looked really cool. And he ended up hitting a 6 splash off the top rope, and I thought that looked really cool. Alejandro Ciaz ends up hitting a kick right to Grand Metalik's head while he's on the apron. And then he ends up hitting a shooting star press off the apron onto the floor on the outside onto Grand Metalik. I thought that looked really cool. Eventually, Grand Metalik wins. I think he won with a... I'm trying to remember how he won, though. He won with the... Fireman's carry, like Michinoku driver. That's how he won. I forget the name, but he like dropped him on his head, and I thought that looked really sick. And I thought this was a really good match to kick off this the tournament, because it wasn't like a long match, but it was a nice high fast paced match, and I thought it was a great way to kick off the tournament. So I thought it was awesome. And I think the first round, because I noticed a lot with these matches, the first round matches are going to be good matches, but they're kind of to set the tone for the next round, because I don't think they want to like give away everything. They want to have everybody putting out all the stops, because in sports and stuff like that, I don't watch sports, but I kind of know when they have like the best of 7 series, they don't give away like everything. They don't normally it's like a fight, but in a tournament like with wrestling, they don't give away all the good matches in the first round. They give away all the like okay matches, but then eventually once you get to the final round, then everybody pulls out all the stops to win. So that's what's kind of going on here. So I kind of like that. But Grand Metalik win, he advances in the tournament. And then we get a video package for Ariya Daivari, and we find out that he used to be the brother of Daivari. Which obviously everybody knows that. I didn't know that, like, because I see him now, I thought this was Daivari, but I was like, but this can't be Daivari, right? And then I was told by one of my friends that this was his brother. So we find out that he said that this is my brother, and he said that he's the best. He wants to prove why he is the best wrestler, and he's going to use his fists, and he's going to knock people down to prove why he's the best cruiserweight in the world. Just like my brother was. And Ho Ho Lund has a video package, and he actually has a nice story. He talks about how he's from this is what we got this for. He's from Hong Kong, and in his country, it's more normally their society, the way that they look at life is usually people have office jobs. But he decided to be a wrestler, and he says that when he finally had his first success, he feels like he made everybody proud of him, and like his country. And he says that if he wins this tournament, then people are really gonna be proud of him. So I actually like this little video package. I think he has actually a pretty unique story. So then we get the match. It's Ho Ho Lun versus Ariya Daivari and another CWC first round tournament match. This match actually was great. I thought this match was better than the first match, but it was still a great match. And they really went back and forth. Ho Ho Loon dominated the first half. He ended up hitting a drop kick right to the back of the head of Ariya Daivari. Ariya Daivari ended up hitting a neck breaker on Ho Ho Loon. Actually, in the beginning, too, you can tell that Ariya Daivari is a heel because when they went to shake hands, Ariya Daivari didn't shake Ho Ho Loon's hand. And then Ariya Daivari dominates the match. He hits a high knee onto Ho Ho Loon. He ends up hitting a... he goes for an Itsugoi kick once, but he Ho Ho ducks it, and then he ends up hitting it again. And eventually Ho Ho Loon hits a drop kick right to the back of the head of... he hits a super kick at first, and then he hits a drop kick to the back of the head on Daivari, and then he ends up hitting a super kick while Daivari's on the ground, and he ends up covering him, but he kicks out. And eventually, Ho Ho Loon wins with a German suplex and gets the victory. I was actually kind of shocked that he won with this move, but like I said, they want to. This was still a really good, fast-paced matchup. And Ho Ho Loon was shocked that he won. And I like the way too when they present the winners, they have them get up and they said the winner is Ho Ho Loon, just kind of like in sports. So I kind of like that, and in boxing they do that. So I kind of like that. So really good matchup here. And he advances and Ho Ho Loon advances in the tournament. And then we have Clement Petit. I don't know if that's how you say his name. Video package, and we find out that he was trained by Lance Storm, and he feels like that. He's not like the high flyers. He's not here for that. He's not here to be that. He's here for the technical type of wrestling, the smash mouth. And he says that if the cruiserweights if those other wrestlers can't fly, then what can they really do? So I like that promo. And then Cedric Alexander has a video package, and we find out that he's from Charlotte, North Carolina, and he says that he doesn't necessarily want to change North Carolina to just people instantly thinking about Ric Flair. He doesn't want to take that spot, but he wants to be on that same level as Ric Flair. So I actually like that. He's actually genuine babyface. So we had that match, Clement Pantheon versus Cedric Alexander, in a CWC tournament first round match. And Cedric Alexander looked really good in this match. He ends up hitting a head scissors into a small Rhino onto Clement. He ended up hitting just really dominating the beginning of this matchup, and he went to hit a shoulder block coming into the win, but Clement ended up hitting a knee to the head, and he dominates the matchup from this point. He ends up hitting a gut wrench throw onto Alexander, but he kicks out. And eventually Cedric Alexander starts making his comeback. He ends up hitting a springboard clothesline onto Clement. And then Clement hits a discus clothesline. Cedric Alexander kicks out. And then Cedric Alexander hits the lumbar check for the win. So he advances in the tournament. Overall, a really good matchup there. And then we had Kota Ibushi video package. And he talks about how when he wrestles, it makes him happy. The type of style. And he makes his Japan fans happy. He wants the same thing to happen to the WWE fans. And we also meet Sean Maluta, who we find out is the nephew of, I believe, Alpha from the Wild Samoans. So he's also related to the Usos and Roman Reigns. He's with that whole Samoan family. He says that he wants to win this tournament to prove that he's the best and all that stuff. And then we had the match of the night, in my opinion, Sean Maluta versus Kota Ibushi in a CWC tournament first round match. This was the main event of this episode. And overall, this was a really good main event. I really enjoyed it. Kota Ibushi ends up hitting some wicked kicks onto Sean Malone, and eventually Sean Malone tosses tosses Ibushi out of the ring, and Sean Malone ends up hitting like a double somersault coming out of the ring, like a dive, and he ends up landing right on Kota Ibushi. But it didn't look like it. It looked like it was a little bit of a botch because he still kind of flipped when he was coming outside the ring, and it looked like he kind of botched that there. And then he dominates the match, and Kota Ibushi starts to make his comeback. He hits a bunch of kicks. He hits a kick right to the chest onto Sean Malone. And also, Sean Malone was working on the injured neck of Kota Ibushi. And Daniel Bryan pointed this out, that he had the same type of neck injury that Daniel Bryan had. So, and then Sean Malone goes for a frog splash. Kota Ibushi moves out of the way, and what else? Kota Ibushi tries to hit a double superplex off the top rope onto Sean Malone, but he fights out of it. And then Kota Ibushi ends up hitting a Pele kick right onto Sean Malone, and he falls outside the ring. And then Kota Ibushi ends up hitting a triangle moonsault on the outside. It looked really sick. And he goes for the power bomb. Sean Malone fights out of it. Sean Malone hits a super kick onto Kota Ibushi, tries to get the victory that way. He kicks out of it. And then Kota Ibushi hits a sit-down powerbomb right onto Sean Malone and gets the victory. And he advances in the tournament. And overall, that was the end of the episode. And now, I actually can't wait to see this match. Now in the second round, we already know what one of the matches. It's going to be Kota Ibushi versus Cedric Alexander. I actually can't wait to see that match. And overall, this Cruiserweight Classic first episode was awesome. I thought this was an awesome episode of the Cruiserweight Classics. I thought this was a good way to showcase. I thought this was the perfect matches to kick off the premiere. Every match delivered in its own special way. You had the first match with Grand Metalik versus Alejandro Cias. Have be the spot fest and have be the guy that went out there and had the high fast paced match. You had Ho Ho Lund and Alia Daivari have about the same type of match, but you have them have about the same type of match, but then they worked a little bit of a different style. You had Cedric Alexander and Clement work the mat wrestling based match and with a mixture of a little bit of a high flying as well. And you had Kota Ibushi and Sean Maluda pretty much worked all different types of styles. So I really like this, and I love the commentary work, like I talked about. So this was awesome. This was a really good first episode to start it off. So now I'm gonna watch the second episode and give my review of that. Okay, so now we have season 1, episode 2, and we had the same people on commentary for this show. I just love Daniel Bryan and Mauro Ranallo on commentary together. They just really fit each other really well on commentary. And I really hope that when Daniel Bryan is done with this whole thing as SmackDown General Manager, because at this point he was announced as the SmackDown General Manager, he can actually go on to be like a commentator or something, because he would be great at it. And get rid of... it's a different topic, but I hope he can be I hope Daniel Bryan can be a commentator at some point. And the first match was a CWC tournament first round match. It was Tajiri versus Damian Slater. And Damian Slater is actually from Australia, and he actually has been signed with the WWE. He was signed since they went over and did the whole deal in 2015. He's actually been signed, I guess, a little over a year. And when they were doing the Arnold Schwarzenegger classic thing, when they were doing that tour, so he's actually been signed for a while. And he talks about how everybody used to look at him as an underdog and nobody ever saw really much faith in him. And and he said that he proved people on, and he said that he's not just here because he wants to be one of the 32 people. He wants to win the whole tournament. So I thought that was a good promo by him. And overall, this was actually a pretty good matchup. It was nice to see Tajiri back in the WWE. We hadn't seen him in the WWE. Now, let me try to remember. I believe it was 2004 or 5. It was one of those 2 years. He hasn't been with the company in a while. And he's obviously a legend. Now, the last time I saw him wrestle a match was at TNA Bound for Glory 2014. I think was the last time I saw him wrestle in a match. I could be wrong. He could have wrestled a match, and I just don't remember it. but I remember he teamed up with the Great Muta to face James Storm and the Great Sonata. So it's nice to see him back in a wrestling capacity. And Tajiri was the same Tajiri as he always was, where he has Slater's arm into an arm winner, and he actually and then Slater puts him as an arm winner, and he actually goes through the ropes and reverses it and holds the ropes against it. I thought that was nice. Um, and Damian Slater ends up eventually getting the upper hand, and he ends up knocking Tajiri outside the ring, and Slater dives on Tajiri, and he really actually kind of dominates the matchup. Really, he actually hits a drop kick from the top rope, and anytime Tajiri tried to get any offense in, Damian Slater was able to stop it, and eventually Tajiri gets him in the tarantula, and then he ends up hitting a kick to the head, and then the buzzsaw kick on Damian Slater for the win, and he goes over. And now he's going to be facing Grand Metalik in round 2 of the tournament, which I actually kind of can't wait to see. Yeah, Tajiri is back, and it was nice to see him back. Everyone seemed to really love him, and you could definitely tell like he definitely his age, but he still moves around like he was in his 20s, because he definitely worked a good match, and Damian Slater looked really strong in this match, so I don't think it makes him look weak at all. And then it has a video package for T.J. Perkins telling his story. He talks about how he was been wrestling since he was 13 years old, and he said that he's here to prove why he's the best cruiserweight in the in the world, and he says that he says something that he makes his moves look easy, but he wants people to look at him as an inspiration, because he wants people to look at him and think that one day they could be able to do his moves as well. And then that was really about it for his video package. And then Domac gets interviewed, and he's actually from Germany, and he said that he uses like he has a different style of using his style of what's it called, wrestling. I actually couldn't think of it, sorry. And he said that he is like Michael Jackson's been his inspiration, and he likes to use that in his wrestling matches. And that was about it for him. I actually thought he was really good. And then we had the match. It was T.J. Perkins versus Domac in a CWC tournament first round match. This was a really good match. I really enjoyed this match. T.J. Perkins, I really am not, like I said, I'm not a huge fan of him dabbing. I'm really not a huge fan of it. It's just I'm not a huge fan of dabbing. I hate that new craze. But he was doing things where he was fixing his hair, which I like. And they started doing chain wrestling towards each other. There was one spot where T.J. Perkins got Domac into a Boston Crab, and then he held his arms and like hold him up, and the guy had to get to and Mac had to get to the ropes. I thought that was a good spot. T.J. Perkins ends up hitting a crossbody outside the ring, but ends up getting back in the ring. Domac hits a drop kick to the face, and he starts doing the moonwalk. And Domac hits a kick to the face from the apron, and he hits a crossbody coming into the ring. And T.J. Perkins ends up getting him into the Moonalock, getting Domac into the Moonalock. And T.J. Perkins goes for his face first. I forget what he calls it, but his face first move. But he ends up getting countered, and eventually he wins because he kept working on Domac's injured leg. And eventually he wins with the knee bar and makes Domac tap out, and T.J. Perkins wins. So it was actually really good. T.J. Perkins actually looked really good out there. I actually enjoyed him out there. And then so I thought that was awesome. And then next they showed a Mustafa Ali video package. We find out he's actually from Chicago. And he said that that he wants to prove why he's the greatest cruiserweight and about the same stuff you'd hear him say. Lince Dorado gets interviewed, and he says that he's been wrestling as Lince Dorado for years, and he said that he wants to win the tournament for his Mexican heritage, and he says that he has been scratching the surface trying to get to the WWE, and now he finally has that opportunity. He's not going to let him slip by. So then we had their match. It was Mustafa Ali versus Lince Dorado in a CWC tournament first round match. This was actually a really good match. Not better than Perkins Damac, but still really good. TJ Perkins ends up hitting a Hurricanrana, head scissors on him. And then he goes for the he went for something. And then he goes to hit a dive onto Mustafa Ali, but he ends up moving out of the way, and he hits a running knee off the apron, which was sick. And Mustafa Ali dominates. He ends up hitting a rolling neck breaker. Well, he's on the apron, and he ends up hitting, and he rolls into the ring and hits a neck breaker just right onto Lince Dorado. I thought that looked sick. And then Lince Dorado starts to make his comeback. He ends up hitting a moonsault on the floor right onto Mustafa Ali, which looked sick. And he hits a Hurricane. He hits a reverse Rana, like a reverse Hurricane Rana on Ali. That looked sick. And he dropped him on the back of his neck. I thought it looked like he could have died. And then he hits a crossbody. Dorado kicks out. Mustafa Ali kicks out of it, and then he hits the. I forget the name of it now, but he hits the Rolling Sunset. I'm just gonna call it where if you've seen Sin Cara's old, like when he was Mystica, where his old finisher where he be on the top rope and he flipped the guy off. So I thought that looked sick. And then he goes for a reverse 450 Mustafa Ali, but Lince Dorado moves out of the way and wins with the shooting star press and gets the victory. It was actually this match actually was really good. I thought it was a really good back and forth matchup, and it was nice. It was really high, fast pace. And then we get a Akira Tozawa video package, and he talks about how he's here in WWE. He said no one ever thought that he'd be here, and he said that he's been wrestling all over Japan, and he said that now he's ready to take the cruiserweight division in WWE by storm. And then Kenneth Johnson gets interviewed. Well, that shows his video package, I should have said, and he talks about how he had to fight for everything, and he's always fought for everything that he's had. And he just keeps fighting no matter how many times you knock him down. And we find out stuff about Kenneth Johnson, like he was signed earlier in 2016 in March, and he had like a little bit of a lisp problem, and he had to really work at it. Now he doesn't really stutter in his lisps, and I think he said that he used to train with I think Cesaro. He said. And he had to fight for everything that he got. He had to work in Detroit, so that was definitely good. And this match between Akira and Tozawa versus Kenneth Johnson in the main event for the CWC tournament first round match was really fucking good. This was just an awesome match. They both really Kenneth Johnson definitely showed that he can hang with everybody. They both, a lot of this match was chain wrestling and like high fast paced match where what you could do I could do better. Akira hits a knee right to the face of Kenneth Johnson. Kenneth Johnson hits a drop kick when when they were both exchanging blows with each other, and eventually Akira tries to go for a German suplex, but Kenneth Johnson reverses it into a roll up, but Akira kicks out of it, and then eventually, Akira just gets pissed, and he hits a quick German suplex, and then he hits another German suplex and bridges into the cover for the win, and he ends up advancing in the tournament. And I thought that was great. Overall, this another great episode in the tournament. I thought this episode was better than the first episode. Not that the first episode was bad. I just thought this episode had better matches. like they had really good matches on this episode. Tajiri versus Damian Slater was a good match, not a great match, but a good match. T.J. Perkins versus DeMac was awesome. Mustafa Ali versus Lynch Dorado was awesome, and the main event was awesome. So overall, this was an awesome episode, and I'm now going to review episode 3. Okay, so now on to episode 4 of the CWC. We had the same people on commentary. I thought that's just a great commentary team. Daniel Bryan and Mauro Ranallo. I can't stress that enough. And it plays a video package for Rich Swann talking about his life. And he says that he's from Richmond, Virginia. And he actually said that he lost his dad when he was 13 years old. He said his dad was murdered and he lost his mom when he was 16, so he had to scratch and claw. He went down a dark path, and he says that the way that he goes about it is he tries to enjoy life. He tries to be that party dancer all the time. And we also found out, too, that he had a shoulder injury. This was his first match back since that shoulder injury. So that's very interesting. So I liked that. And Jason Lee cuts another video package. He talks about how he's from Japan, and he says that it was his dream to be in the WWE. I can't really remember a lot about his. Sorry, not gonna lie. So we had Rich Swann versus Jason Lee in a CWC tournament first round match. And this was actually a pretty good matchup. Jason Lee ended up hitting a 6 super kick in the match. Rich Swann hit a 450 coming out of the corner. And then eventually he hit a standard shooting star press onto Jason Lee for the win. And then afterwards, they shook hands and everything. So Rich Swann went over. I was happy about that. And then Gurv Shiwawa cut a video package, and he talked about how no one ever thought that he was going to be a WWE superstar, and he is obviously the brother of the other guy. I forget his name off the top of my head. And he says that that his father told everybody about when him and his brother, the Bollywood boys, were in the Cruiserweight Classics, and he said that he won't be watching because he's blind, so he's going to be listening. So I thought that was pretty emotional. And then Noam Dar has a video package, and we find out that he's actually the youngest guy in the tournament, but he's been wrestling since he's 15. And what made him want to start wrestling was he saw Brock Lesnar on SmackDown, and that made him want to be a wrestler. And he said that no one should underestimate me after tonight. So we had Noam Dar versus Gurv Sheila in the CWC tournament first round match. This was a pretty good matchup here. Noam Dar makes him tap to the knee bar. I thought it was a really good matchup. Really back and forth. We had the backbreaker, the forearm into the corner. It was just a really good matchup. Then it showed a video package for Fabian Actioner, I think is how you say that. I really don't remember a lot about his story. Sorry. Jack Gallagher had a video package, and he says that he's a gentleman. He looks at wrestling as a scientific thing because he's not the biggest guy. He's probably the smallest guy in the division. But he is going to use submission. He's going to have a gentleman battle. I actually kind of like him. So we had Fabian Alccher versus Jack Gallagher. I thought this was a really good match. Fabian ended up hitting a sick moonsault, like double moonsault, where he went off one side of the ropes and then he hit a moonsault. He ended up, Jack Gallagher got him in a guillotine choke, and he ended up fighting out of it by hitting a power bomb. That was sick. And then eventually Jack Gallagher won with the drop kick. And he won the match, and I actually was happy that he won because he was... I actually thought he was going to be a heel by the way he talks, but he's actually a babyface, so I actually like him. And then we had the big match that I think is the best match in the first round. It was, Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano had a video package, and they talked about how they they were mainly singles guys before they started teaming up. Johnny Gargano was a singles guy. He was a champion for Dragon Gate USA for 800 days, and Tommaso Ciampa was a but when him and Tommaso Ciampa started teaming up, something instantly just clicked. And Tommaso Ciampa talks about how he doesn't hit to injure, he hits to hurt, and he says that he may have to hurt Johnny Gargano to become champion to win the Cruiserweight Classics, and he says that that's going to be what happens, and Johnny Gargano says you're going to get the best out of him. So then they had an interview segment together, and Johnny Gargano talks about how he's going to how he's going to have everything. He's going to give Tommaso Ciampa everything he's got. And Tommaso Ciampa says, "Oh, really, Johnny Wrestling? I'm sick and tired of hearing that chant. It's time tonight I hurt you, boy." So there was definitely some tension there. And then they have the match. And I was instantly hyped because they were literally, too, I think around this time, contending for the NXT Tag Team Championships. And they were having a matchup with each other. And at first they hesitate to shake hands, but eventually they do. And Tommaso Ciampa hits a wicked forearm right into the face now like an elbow smash right to the face of Johnny Gargano, and he just destroys him in the beginning. He has a knee lift while he's on the apron. And then Johnny Gargano hits a springboard DDT coming into the ring. And he starts to make his like a little bit of a comeback. And Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa hits a kick hits a forearm again on Johnny Gargano, and then Tommaso Ciampa tries to suplex him coming into the win, but Johnny Gargano fights out of it, and he ends up holding him. He ends up trapping him into the turnbuckle. He ends up hitting a super kick, and then he hits a powerbomb on Tommaso Ciampa, and he kicks out of it, and Tommaso Ciampa pretty much dominates Johnny Gargano pretty much dominates Tommaso Ciampa for a while. And then eventually he ends up hitting a clothesline, and then eventually he hits a power bomb onto he goes to hit a power bomb, but Johnny Gargano fights out of it, and then Johnny Gargano hits a torpedo suicida on the outside, and then eventually they get back in the win. Tommaso Ciampa's just dominated. He ends up hitting a Celtic cross onto the apron, gets him in the win, pins him, then he kicks out, and he goes to hit the knee strike on Gargano, but he just cannot bring himself to do it. He cannot hurt his friend, his tag team partner, Johnny Gargano. So Johnny Gargano ends up capitalizing with a super kick, and then eventually Tommaso Ciampa just ends up coming right back and hitting a clothesline and a power bomb kick out, and then Tommaso Ciampa just can't believe that he kicked out of it, eventually they start slapping each other, and Tommaso Ciampa goes for the clothesline again. Johnny Gargano counters with a backslide. Tommaso Ciampa kicks out, goes for the armbar, but then Johnny Gargano reverses it into a roll-up of his own, and Johnny Gargano wins the tournament, and Tommaso Ciampa's all upset, and I was instantly hyped for this match. I thought the storyline was the best in this match, just because they were tag team partners, and you knew they weren't going to want to hurt each other, but they didn't have a choice. It showed how important this tournament was, and then Tommaso Ciampa at first doesn't shake his hand, but then he comes back in the win, and sits down in the ring with Johnny Gargano, shakes his hand, and raises his hand. So I thought that was great. And overall, too, the match was really great. And Johnny Gargano's selling was really good in this match as well. And overall, if I had to pick the best match in the tournament, I would pick probably this match, just because of the storyline that was involved and how the match was structured. If I had to pick the worst, it was probably Tony Nese versus Anthony Bennett. I just really wasn't a huge fan of that. I liked the match. It just wasn't as good as the other matches. On the matches, though, that I liked was Kota Ibushi versus Sean Mulata. Cedric Alexander, I forget who he fought, but I liked his match. It's in the video earlier. I loved Drew Gulak versus the other Shearer brother. And I liked Oh, there was just so many good matches. Zack Sabre Jr. versus Tyson Duke. That was a great match. There was so many different matchups in this first round, and I think the second round is really gonna kick it up a notch. And I will announce who's facing who in the second round in the next episode. So yeah, um, but yeah, this overall a great episode. I thought out of the 4 episodes that I saw right now, I thought the 4th episode was the best episode. If I had to say the worst episode, it was probably the second one, just because it was good, just not as good as the others. So that's what I thought. And they just treat this like it's a sport. I just love it so far. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Gonna do it for me. Like I said, I'm going to announce who's facing who in the second round in the next video. And I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe to the channel down below. Check out the other Retro Wrestling Review series, the other videos in it. Check out Season 1, Season 2. And make sure to subscribe to, no. And make sure to subscribe to my CM Brothers and my own The Talkinator channel.